All right, let's dive in. Today, we are going to break down the architecture of a perfect trade. We're going to see how we can transform trading from, a chaotic game of guesswork into a calm, structured, and totally repeatable process.
Say you open up a chart. What's the very first question that pops into your head? If you're like most people, it's this one. Where do I enter, right? We're all wired to hunt for that one perfect entry point. But what if I told you that starting with that question is exactly what's setting you up to fail?
Because it is. Focusing on your entry first is, without a doubt, the single biggest mistake that most traders make. It's like putting the cart before the horse. It makes you zoom in and hunt for these tiny little signals, and you end up missing the most important thing of all, the actual story the market is trying to tell you.
So to get that consistency we're all after, we have to make a fundamental shift in our thinking. It's really about moving away from that beginner's mindset and starting to adopt the perspective of a professional. And you know what? It all starts with changing that very first question.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. A beginner is always hunting for an entry, but a professional, they're first trying to understand the context. They ask, what is the market doing? That question forces you to analyze the big picture way before you even think about putting a single dollar at risk.
So how do we actually do that? Well, we do it by following a really clear, systematic workflow. And listen, this isn't about some secret indicator or magic formula. It's an architecture for making smart decisions. It's a repeatable 9-step process you can use every single time you look at a chart.
The first 3 steps, they're all about preparation. And notice something? We haven't even considered putting on a trade yet. This is the foundation. It's about seeing the forest before you start looking at the individual trees, figuring out where the big battles are going to be fought, and then having the discipline to just wait.
Step 1 is super simple. We just zoom out. We look at the daily or the weekly chart. Why? Because on the higher time frames, all that day-to-day noise, it just disappears. The structure becomes so much clearer. And again, we're not looking for an entry. We are simply trying to figure out the overall direction. Is it bullish? Is it bearish? Or is it just chopping around in a range?
Okay, once we know the general direction, we mark up our zones. These are the key areas of support and resistance. And they're not just lines, they're areas where prices had some major reactions in the past. We only want to engage the market at these meaningful levels. Trading in that empty space in between, that's like trying to navigate without a map. It is pure gambling.
Let's move on to the next phase, execution. So now we're at a key zone, and this is where we switch hats. We go from being an analyst to being an observer, and we're just looking for very specific clues that tell us, okay, it's time to act. This is where patience meets precision.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we use our tools. We're not using indicators to try and predict the future. We're not crystal ball gazing. We're just using them to confirm our idea. We're asking, is the price action showing me that buyers or sellers are actually stepping in right here, just like I expected? We need that proof.
This rule right here is one of the most important ones. Just because the price touches our line on the chart, that does not mean we just jump in. We have to wait for the market to actually show its hand. We need to see a reaction, a strong candle, a clear rejection, something that proves our theory is playing out right now. Before we even think about clicking that buy or sell button, our risk is already defined. Our stop loss goes where our trade idea is proven wrong based on the market structure. And then we use this golden rule. We never move our stop closer just to risk less money. We simply trade a smaller size. This one thing keeps every single trade emotionally neutral.
All right, on to the final phase, managing the trade while it's live. Now, this is where emotion usually takes over for most people, but for us, it's just another part of the process. We're going to manage the trade based on structure, and we're going to exit based on rules, not on hope.
So how do we manage our risk once we're in a position? We only move our stop loss to break even after the market creates a new protective structure for us, like the higher low you see right there. We don't do it because we're scared. We do it because the market's behavior has justified it. This protects our capital, but still gives the trade room to breathe.
Okay, this brings us to what is probably the most powerful mindset shift of all. We are about to completely redefine what a successful trade actually means. And I'll give you a hint. It has very little to do with whether you made or lost money on that one specific trade. And here it is. This is the single most important idea in this entire explainer. If you follow your process perfectly, from your analysis all the way to your exit, and the trade hits your stop loss, it is still a successful trade.
Why? Because you followed your rules. Success isn't defined by the random outcome of one trade. It's defined by your execution.
So the trade is over. It was either a win or a loss. The temptation is to either celebrate or get angry and immediately start hunting for the next one. But hold on a second. The work is not done yet. What's the most important step now?
It's the review. This part right here is where you actually become a better trader. Not during the excitement of a live trade, but in the calm reflection afterwards. You take a screenshot and you ask yourself honestly, did I follow my plan? Was my execution flawless?
And that brings us to the complete architecture, the whole shebang. It starts with the big picture, it moves to patient execution, it's all grounded in risk management, and it ends with reflection. Just imagine repeating this exact process every single time. No more chasing, no more random entries, no more emotion. Just a calm, structured workflow.
You know, when you truly master this process, something incredible happens. You stop needing the market to make you feel good. Your confidence no longer comes from whether you won or lost a trade. It comes from knowing that you can execute your system flawlessly, time and time again. You depend on your process, not the outcome. And that right there is the ultimate freedom in trading.